Let's start with Andrew Tate on Cowardice. This is from an interview with Zuby, and we're going to play start. I might stop and go here. This is good stuff, though. This is a fantastic monologue and an important monologue. Let's listen.
Cowardice is the problem. The world is full of cowards. We suffer from a pandemic of cowardice. We've never suffered from any other pandemic the last 3 years. People are absolutely and utterly cowards, and they do to me what they did to me to scare people. If you tell the average person you're going to lose contact with basically everyone you can speak to, you're not going to have a voice anymore, you're not going to have a bank account, you're not going to be able to make money online, you're not going to be able to move anywhere, you're not going to be able to transact, we're going to wreck you head to toe, the average person can't deal with that, right? On top of the fact that the average person is employed and they're scared of losing their job, scared of their employer. I'm in a unique situation because I'm extremely difficult to hurt. But the average person, as soon as you hurt their money, their life is over, right? And that's what we've got. We've got to a level of cowardice amongst the population where people are just going to sit there and ignore objective reality because they're scared of having this cancellation weapon used against them. So yeah, you're right. It's not that people don't agree with us. It's not that we're not saying the things that everyone knows are intrinsically true. It's that everybody's afraid to say it. And that can only end when everybody stands up and stops agreeing and playing this game and stops being cowards. We need mass numbers of people to say, no, I'm allowed an opinion. Mm-hmm. You know what? Nigel Farage, and since UKIP ended, I don't even know about his politics nowadays. I don't even know what he's doing. But he said something that was really interesting. He was asked about who runs the world. And I guess the person was trying to set him up for a question about the elites. And he said, truthfully, I'll tell you who runs the world. We do. Because we decide how much of this crap we're going to put up with.
Okay, let's pause it there. There's more on this that I want to play, but what a fantastic way to say it, which is that, yes, we're suffering from a pandemic of cowardice. That's 100% true, but you decide how much they get away with. And if you look at what happened and what transpired in particular over the last 3 years, whether it's the lockdowns, whether it's the mandates, I've been shouting from the rooftops, if everyone just joined together and said, we're not doing that, it just wouldn't have been able to be enforced. You know, if every business in New York City said, yeah, we're not going to put a sign outside the door that says you have to get a vaccine to enter, and they all just said, nope, we're not doing it, what do you think would have happened? Every single business would have been shut. They can't afford to do that. The city would have said, we can't do that. What if every single person that worked in every single company that instituted a mandate said, we will walk out today, and actually did? You think a company like whoever had a mandate, Fox News, ABC, whatever it was going to just handle all of their talent and all of their employees walking out the door? They would just be buried. So they would have had to do something. But what happens is you get a certain number of people to comply. A certain number of people get scared. Well, first you have the people that comply no matter what, right? You have your robots that you could literally tell them, like, do anything. And they'll be like, okay, they're just ready to just, chew up and swallow whatever it is. Because they believe that whoever that person is issuing the edicts knows what's best for them more than they do. And they're very comfortable with that dynamic. Those are your like mini tyrants, I call them. So you have them and they want everybody else to listen too. It's like, well, I listen. Why can't you listen? It's like a little tattletale in school. You know them. You know the type. So there are those people that want to comply. And then there's the people that are so scared so fast, right? They're like, okay, I don't know, but I got to do this. I don't want to lose my job, this, that. Whereas if people just got together and said no, and you had more people with a backbone, this stuff just wouldn't have been able to be accomplished. So remember that, and I know it's hard because you think, well, it'll just be me. But think about if it were 90% of people even that said no. What are they going to do? Run a company with 10% and none of their talent there? No. These media companies. And I always, I think what Tate's talking about here are more regular people who have these more regular jobs, who are worried about like, oh my God, if I lose this job, what happens to me? Look at even people who are in these big media companies. What a joke, man. You have a big microphone and a big platform and you're making millions of dollars a year and somebody institutes a mandate. You, like a coward, get a little exemption for yourself. You're like, oh, I'm good. And you know that all of the people under you, all of the people that work in the offices don't have that same privilege because they're not held in as high esteem as you are because you're this famous face on TV. You get your exemption. They don't. They get fired. And you're out there talking about how tyranny is bad and all this, but you didn't say anything to stand up for those people? What a mess you are, man. And those are some of the people, let me tell you, I always talk about liberals and I say like, oh, the left is a problem. There's nothing worse than a fake freedom fighter. Because when you deal with authoritarians, when you deal with the World Economic Forum, you know what you're dealing with. You know what you're getting. You know exactly what those people are about. They're like, eat bugs. We want to take your property. You'll have nothing and you'll be happy. We get what they're about. But when you got a fake freedom fighter that's out there, you know, waving the American flag, you know, all tattooed up and like, you know, we the people's everywhere. And then the vaccine mandates roll in and they don't even have the gonads to criticize a company they work for that instituted a vaccine mandate. Come on. Like, you're going to be useless in the fight. Just give me a break, man. I'm sorry. So there we go. And he's right. You know, this fear of cancellation, too, is another thing, because the problem that happened in the last 3 years is that pharma is so powerful and pharma owns so much of media that people started to see, well, if I don't comply, where am I going to work? What am I going to do? Like, I'm going to be ousted everywhere. And that's not what happened. A lot of those people left those big companies, hi, by the way, and started something in a different space, in a podcasting space or whatever. Now they're doing better than they were before. So those people that were creative, that were like, I'm not going to be under a totalitarian thumb, I'm not living like that, found their way and then some. All right, let's keep playing.
We're putting up with too much of it. Problem is everyone's a coward. And you're right. I get the same thing. Wow, thanks for saying it. Why don't you say it? And everyone is just terrified. And it really is truly crazy, because fear has always been the control mechanism of man. The worst things that have ever happened in any society or any civilization since the dawn of fucking records has been done under the name of fear. Get the population afraid. What did Goebbels say? The propaganda minister of the Third Reich. Once people are afraid, give them a common enemy. They'll do anything you want. That's the Nazis knew this. Everyone knows this, right? So it's a basic playbook. But I think it's also a larger issue. I think that things like making sure people are semi-depressed, making sure people are divided, making sure people are selfish, making sure people are self-obsessed. They're trying to destroy people's will to stand up and care about anyone other than themselves. Mm-hmm. And once you do that, couple in with the fact that if you start to care about others and genuinely care about the world, you'll ruin your own life. Mm-hmm. It just makes people shut up.
Yep. So, and that's all true. What a great way to say it too. Like the point about, you know, thanks for saying it. And it's true. People, I'm sure he gets a ton of emails from people who are like, thank you for standing up. Thank you for saying what needs to be said. Something as basic as saying men and women are different. Men are men. Women are women. Women are not men. Men are not women. That could get somebody canceled, right? But you have to say it because it's reality. It's the truth. You cannot hide behind this nonsense. And I will tell you, tyranny takes an inch, and then they take another inch, and then they take a mile, and then they take another mile, and they don't get less powerful because you comply. They get more powerful because you comply. So you need to stand up for truth, the one and only truth. Whether we're talking about, you know, something medical that we saw go down in the last 2 years, or whether we're talking about men and women, you just have to stand up for reality. And there's too many people who are willing to pick up the phone and say, you know how many phone calls I got from people? I cannot tell you. I will not share their names because that's not how I roll. Do you know how many phone calls I got from prominent media personalities? Several times in my career when I had the gonads to speak out and they didn't. When I was sitting on Fox and saying, by the way, listen, I'm not seeing a stolen election when it comes to voting machines. I'm not seeing it. I'm talking to GOP governors. Do you know how many messages I got from on-air hosts saying, oh, good for you for saying that. Good for you. They never said it. They never treaded. They were not messing. They were not risking losing their jobs. It can happen. And they weren't going there. But I would read those and be like, oh man, you coward. Same thing happened again when I went on The View and I was like, I'm not going on there. I'm not going to guest co-host. I missed out on all those appearances because I'm not getting the jab because it wasn't in my best interest to do so. That's how I believed. That's what I still believe. I got so many calls. Oh, good for you. Good for you. You know where those people landed up? On The View, guest hosting. They went, they did it, they followed the protocol, but I got those, oh, good for you, you're standing up for freedom. And I was just like, it was a great way to just look at, now I know everyone who will be useless when the real fight comes, because that wasn't it. It's coming. The Matrix is here, dolls. It's here. It's not coming, it's here. It's already here. And now you know, maybe you at home, figured out some of the people around you who's going to be useless in the fight. I know. I have a nice list now of all the useless idiots, right? All the robots, all the people who know, but did it anyway because they didn't want to get fired or canceled. You know, what a bunch of babies. I can't. Cry me a river, everyone. That point, by the way, the final point before we move on to a woman who wants a $200,000 engagement ring. Honey, stop, by the way. Ridiculous. Selfish society. I always talk about the breakdown of the community and the breakdown of the family and how the Matrix needs the breakdown of the community and the breakdown of the family. What Tate is talking about with a selfish society, deeply powerful message, Remember, they locked people in their homes because if they locked you and separated you, you would start to see the other person as the enemy. You got to wear the mask because they're bad. They could be sick. Even if it was just a healthy person walking around, you can't communicate with each other. Shut down the beaches, shut down all the activities. So you started to look at people for the first time in your life, maybe like there's something wrong with them. Then suddenly you decided to get the vaccine. It was your own personal decision. Somebody else decided against it. They were the enemy. That is how you breed hatred, anger, and all the necessary tools to break down a society. The antidote to that is community. And we're going to talk about that with respect to women who are now outsourcing a lot of responsibilities to the system and why that's a problem when it comes to child and family. If you want to watch the full episode, you're going to click right here. And if you want to ask me a question one-on-one, you want to do a one-on-one FaceTime with a group of your friends, whatever you want, you need to download Connect right now. Click right here and let's get talking.